Hey everybody, big welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind, but project MGB, who you calling Midget, is well underway. Obviously, we've got the fenders, hood removed, bumper. Um, did a little engine degreasing, so I'll throw in some clips of that over, although it's not very exciting. Basically, I wanted to be able to do the engine compartment matte black. I still got some tar or whatever this is that they sealed it with to get off. But kind of once the fenders were removed, this side's pretty solid. It's got like a little bit of cracking in the weld there or something like that, so I might just grind it down a bit and tidy it up. This side though is where the real issue was. So I put a previous clip of this when I discovered this hole. This is the side that had the fender rotted out. It's kind of weird with the fender rotted out, but the rocker was more or less solid, with the exception of some little rust. But anyhow, I bought two rockers for 20 bucks each, but I'm not going to end up using the whole things after careful consideration. I watched some videos on YouTube of other people doing rocker replacement, and it's actually a lot of work. Like, this would have to go, door come off obviously, and then the rear quarter is in the way of the weld. So I think my better option, keeping in mind I'm not doing a frame off restoration here, this is just, I want to have a fun little car to bomb around in or whatever. So I believe my better option is to basically just cut it straight down here, kind of in line with this seam, I guess, as a good reference point, and then do the same on the new rocker. Just cut it, weld it. This is in here, so I couldn't film it because it's so tight underneath the compartment on the other side. I was trying to set my camera up, it just wouldn't work. So anyway, I cut out a bad section up here and here and here, so I'm not done. I still got to weld in more over here, but I didn't have access to cut down here that well. So at that point I was just like, you know what, I'm not even too worried about it because it's sealed off with the new plate. The plate's not going anywhere. And once I cut this off and this is welded on, I don't think this little bit of rotted metal down here is really going to do anything. There shouldn't really be any moisture getting into it once this is all welded, and I'll use some like seam sealer to seal up all the areas. So we got that going on. And then same thing, come over here. Over here, originally I did this little repair, and it's okay. So there's nothing, it's not attached on the front there. There's no metal to attach to. But anyway, the rest of it's on there. Obviously I don't know how to weld, so my welds are not fantastic. But the rest of the rocker, once again, is in decent shape. There's a little rust on the back, but that could be fixed. And even though this was solid, I was thinking I could just do the same thing, or cut it like here and down. I'm not quite sure yet. I'll figure out what's best. Maybe I should just try to get it off of here and do the same on this side. You guys can tell me in the comments if you think this is like a terrible idea, but remember, I'm just trying to have a fun little car. I don't have the money, patience, time, or skill to do like a full frame off restoration back to new. So from what I can tell, it doesn't look overly structural or anything like that. Once it's welded up, like, I'm sure it'll be fine. That's my opinion on it. What else was there to go over? I bought a replacement fender as well, but the problem is this one has a different, this is for the chrome bumper, where I have the plastic bumper model. So if you look right here, you can see the hole for the turn signal is different, or the bumper mount. On this one it's a bumper mount, sorry, move the camera, and that one it's a turn signal. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about that. I'm planning on eliminating bumpers anyway, so I don't know. I gotta figure it out. Obviously haven't started any of the body work yet. You can look in there. Here's where I'm working out. I still got to clean up my welds and do a little more, and then get to the holes in the floorboard. Same on that side. But overall, project's coming along, and I'll throw in a few clips of the work. Alrighty, and at this point, I decided that it was time to try to kind of degunk the engine bay. Well, I've got the fenders off. I figured there's no better time, so right here I'm just doing a little bit of a pre-wash. Just bought a $50 pressure washer on Facebook or whatever marketplace. So I'm not going to be trying to smooth down, everything to perfect. I'm just trying to make it so that I can throw some matte black paint on there just to, kind of make the engine compartment look a little better. As right now it's yellow, rust, tar, and red. So the way I figured, I can't really make it look any worse. So yeah, we're gonna do this, and luckily it doesn't seem like I know that sometimes with distributors and stuff, you can, if you get water near the engine or whatever, it'll run rough and stuff, but I fired it up after this and it was no issue at all. So this is just some little bit of engine degreaser. And I've actually, at this point, current day, like this is actually like a week ago, so current day, I've already got the one side painted all black, and there was still a bit of that tarry whatever they had on it. But I figured most of it's covered by the fender anyway, so we're not going for a show car here. And also, like, I'm just really having fun with this, and I would encourage anyone else that, like, if you've got the space and you find a little car like a deal like this, you might as well grab it, because really, if you can watch YouTube videos and you're at least somewhat handy, I think most of it you can figure out on your own. But obviously, if you think you're gonna get a showroom restored classic look, you may not want to try to achieve that on your own the first time, but realistically, if you invest the time, I guess you could do it if you're willing to invest enough time. So here's where I decided to unfortunately hack apart my rockers, which was a tough call though, right? Because it would have been nicer to replace the whole thing, but at the same time, I'm not trying to go crazy, into this for months and months and months on end or something like that. So chopping this off was a little easier than I thought. I wasn't really sure. One thing I wonder when I'm cutting into this, and I've run into this problem like in a few spots, like I just don't know how body shops even get in there with the grinder in some of these tight spots. And then I was thinking, like, trying to use a Sawzall, but I didn't really think that the cuts would be that straight. And anyway, you kind of get the idea here. We're chopping her down, and I've been trying to figure out like the best welding techniques just kind of while you're watching me do this. So I've been trying my welder on like different settings, and I'm finding like, some ways are, actually like bonding to both surfaces, and other ways it's kind of like a little bubble gum weld is what they call it, I guess. But yeah. No matter what though, it's been fun. Obviously I would have preferred there wasn't quite so much rust damage, because once I get beyond this, I actually end up finding a lot more on the floor on the inside. Yesterday is when I removed the rubber mat. I realized that the floor had like a layer of tar that, obviously it's not the guy I bought it from. I know that because the tar is like way too old. So this was probably somebody that restored the car in like the 90s or something, I would imagine. You can just tell by how old everything is. Um, and like the Bondo and stuff. So it is what it is. I guess ultimately he probably thought, and I'm thinking that the brother probably bought the car, somebody had already done like a quick restore on it with the Bondo and stuff, so it probably looked good, going down the road, and it lasted a number of years. But I guess this stuff doesn't last forever, so ultimately I'm in here, and I'm doing no better though, because I'm gonna, but kind of like a hack job too. There's that little opening that you can see left of the plate there. Originally, I came and I welded in some metal in there, but then I realized that it was interfering with my inside where I wanted to put a plate on, so I ended up cutting that out. And I didn't video it, but you will see later on in an upcoming video, you'll see how what I did was I just packed that void with kitty hair fiberglass, which, the kitty hair fiberglass is pretty strong, so I think for what I was doing, it was the right choice, because alternatively, I would have had to cut out that whole section and order like from Europe or whatever, like the new part. And I was just, I don't know, maybe one day, like, everything I'm doing here, I could always, improve on later on. Um, the only thing I wish I was a little bit better at the welding, so maybe I gotta do a little more cutting and, making some practice seams and stuff. But it is challenging because I'm having a hard time getting in and cleaning up some of the rust and some of the tighter spots. But I'm so glad, even though these rockers are not 100% perfect fit, like they're the eighth of an inch too tall. I'll show that in an upcoming video, what I'm talking about. But I'm still glad I found them, because now we know at least that both of the rockers in the front, where they seem prone to the rot, will be in good shape. Oh, my blade was getting pretty chewy there. Um, Once these blades get a little nick in them, they start throwing parts at you like crazy, which is rather annoying, but it is what it is. I've been getting lots of good cuts on my hands and knees and arms, bloody little fingertips, because I keep slicing myself, but I don't worry too much about it. I just keep going. And I'm really looking forward to getting this thing to the point where I can take it in for its safety check, because the fact is that at this point I still don't even have any idea how good it's going to do on a safety check. It's from what I can tell with the new brakes and brake lines and the gas tank and all that, it looks like to me that most of the stuff should be good to go. I got a couple things left to do, like the switches and stuff on the interior I got to change. I probably won't even make videos of that because that's all pretty just basic stuff. So trying to figure out what's the most interesting stuff to film for you guys. So there I was just test fitting with a Fender, and give you a little spoiler alert here on. So I bought this Fender off a guy all the way out in Newmarket, and looks good. It doesn't match my current one though, so then I was like, oh shit, I got to go buy the second one. So I go bought the second one off of him, but the second one off him actually matches my first one with this damn bump for a light. So ultimately, one of the fenders, I'm gonna have to cut out this bubble section that holds like a turn signal, and I'm gonna have to tack in some sheet metal from behind, and then do some, fill it with the kitty hair fiberglass and try to shape it and stuff. Because ultimately, I want a smoother look for the front end. So I'll figure it out here. So lining up the rocker and the fender overall went okay, except for there's a little tab there, so I had to cut into the rocker, unfortunately. You'll get a better look at it in the video I recorded today, um, which probably I won't bother putting up for a week. I know that these videos on my channel aren't the most popular things, but I know that, once it's on YouTube, it's there for years and years. So 10 years down the road, somebody may, be following along right from the beginning to the end. So I'm trying to include as much as I can. But, and then here we are. This little trick of making templates like out of cardboard with, like, with a magic marker or Sharpie or whatever, and then like that's just, something I learned on YouTube on some of these car videos. And what a great way to get a basic shape of what you're doing. So I'm glad I found that. Now this little part that I'm actually trying to make the template for here, I do, as a current day, I've already got that part in, but it didn't quite cover like a quarter of an inch just at the bottom of the fender. So
There's a little bit I'm going to have to weld in a little tab or fill it with fiberglass. I might just fill it with fiberglass. It's not even visible from the outside. It's only when you're like from under the car or look inside the wheel well, um, which is unfortunate. I didn't realize when I made the little part, but it's not a big enough deal to bother remaking a new one. So I I feel bad when I get home because after like dinner and stuff and get to the grinding, my neighbor works the night shift, so I feel bad when I come home at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and want to start working on the car. He goes to work at like 10:30 at night, so I always feel bad. I'm worried about waking him up, so I don't. I'm kind of taking in my time on this, so I'm not every night on it. But I've pretty much already gave up on the idea that I'll be out driving around the car this season anyway, so I've got time. And here we are cutting out that little tab a little more, which sucks because when you see it in the other video and you're going to see what I mean, like that little tab missing now means that water that gets in there has somewhere to rest. So what I thought was before I put this together, I'm probably going to weld in a little bit of metal, and then I've got the seam sealer stuff, the RTV automotive sealant stuff that I'm going to be going over all the welds with anyway. Um, so I want to basically try to make it waterproof, even though I don't even think I'll normally have the roof up on this. Like the idea for this car, for me at least, is just to drive it around on nice sunny days. So water really, for the time I own it, I doubt will be a big issue. I'm not planning on long cross-country road trips or. So I shouldn't really end up in much of any situations that would require that. But I guess ultimately you never know, right? Anything's possible, so we'll see. I'll try to seal it up. And if you guys have ever, if you're still watching, you know what I mean, just enjoy watching this, but feel free to comment below. Have you ever attempted to do anything like this? If so, what kind of car? How did it go? Um, you know, did you have experience in it? I'm just wondering how many other people like me that just kind of jump into it just 'cause, right? That's something I'd wanted to do for a long time, and sometimes, like I don't know, I guess I just figure it's the best way to get experience is just dive in balls deep and you know try your luck at it, right? It's going to do one of two things. It's either going to work out and I'm going to have a fun little car to drive, or it won't work out and I'll end up having to sell it to somebody that could finish the project. But I don't really think that that's going to be a possibility. I think I'll be able to get this car to a drivable condition. Um, I don't see any like major any kind of rust like for it's a unibody construction. So, but I don't see any real issues with the frame or anything like that. So, like any damage that would prevent it from being roadworthy. If I get to if I get too far into this and all of a sudden I was to find something where there was just like actual frame damage which would prevent it from going on the road, then I'd probably have to abandon the project. But until then, I just want to keep going on it, replacing sheet metal where I've got to, and yeah, little fiberglass where I have to. I think the fiberglass is pretty strong anyway. Like I don't think I know it is. So, like they originally had that hole filled with Bondo. That's all it was a big pack of Bondo, and that's lasted probably 20 or 30 years. So I figure fiberglass, which is stronger, should even last longer than that. And then also on the other side of that, where that hole is the lower door mount. So where it screws into like the frame, it's got a bit of play in it. It's a little jiggly. So, ideally one day this little eighth pillar, whatever this is, I don't know, whatever it is, would be cut out and get redone. I'm sorry, I'm showing you guys my garbage for whatever reason. As I'm setting up the camera, I forgot to edit that out, so I do apologize for that. And there we are. Probably need to take the garbage out, but a little more of my fun uh, cutting on the sheet metal. And I bought this little like tripod thing with 3 arms that kind of grabs onto stuff. So that makes it so I can get a little bit better angles now, because I already had like a tripod, a normal size tripod, but it wasn't much good for most of the stuff because it's really tight in my garage, and if I'm working under the car, the tripod's obviously too tall. So now I can kind of get a little bit better angles and a little easier. So I would like, I was thinking about like trying to mount the GoPro to like the welding arm, and then the sawzall, or the, not the sawzall, the grinder. I was picturing it kind of like a Casey Neistat POV, you know what I mean? If you guys watch his videos, he's done some things like that, you know, where people put the pencil in the pencil sharpener and then spin it, but it's really just a GoPro on it. Anyway, if you guys think that stuff like that, like if those little action shots, are they worth the effort of mounting cameras on this and that, and you know, editing and all that, or is just basic stuff like this? And I don't know. I've said a few times now on this series, so I've never done a series like this, so it's kind of taking getting used to trying to figure out what to edit out. And clearly I should edit out some garbage and probably should just fast forward through some of this stuff. But if you're sitting there somewhere, you know, maybe, I don't know, in a wheelchair or just not physically able to build a car, maybe you just enjoy watching other people do it. Who knows? Or if you like these cars and ever thought of getting one, so maybe this is just fun to follow along. I'm looking forward though too, and I think I said this on my other video, was at the end when I get to do like a compilation video right from the start to the finish. That should be fun. And I'm still trying to decide whether I'm gonna go full chrome bumpers, bumperless, or something called the overriders, which can be mounted up to the bumper mounts, and it's basically just 2 little push bumpers, like chrome. I gotta figure out which way to go, and then I've still got to find a grill. I'm not really liking the price online. Like if you try to get the grill assembly online, like with all the mounting brackets and all that, I think it was like $800 or something. That's more than I'm really wanting to put into a grill. So hopefully I can find a deal on eBay or Marketplace or something. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of them floating around there, but there's a few people that are selling the cars, like, you know, in rough shape or whatever. May just try to say to somebody, if you decide to part it out, I'd be interested in a few parts. So we're just trying to clean this up a bit. I got that corner that was bent from sitting the metal down a little too fast, but no big deal. And I'll give you another little spoiler alert. I'm going to drill the holes in this to do like my spot welds, but it didn't actually work out at all. I don't know why, like just my spot welds. Maybe I didn't have it on the right setting or whatever. So yesterday, while I was doing work, which you'll see in an upcoming video, that part actually comes separated from where I had tacked it on. But then I ended up lowering the voltage as I'm learning, right? I don't have anyone that welds to show me how. I lowered the voltage or whatever, and it seems to be, by doing that, I was able to like seam weld it, and it seems like it's holding now. But yeah, I guess it would have been a little more helpful if I had, like, you know, a local buddy that was a welder. I do have a buddy, my buddy Mikey, but he's out in BC, so not much help from out there. But yeah, so here we are, just test fitting. Overall, though, the part I made, I was actually happy with it, and same with some other parts that you're going to see in upcoming videos. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to tackling the floor rot, though. So you have to stay tuned to see what we can do about that to strengthen it up. But so far, I'm happy with the way things are going. Sucks there's so much to fix, but at the same time, I think overall I'm fixing them to a good enough standard to just enjoy the car on the weekend. So feel free to comment below. Sorry if this is all just dragging on. I don't really know. Once I figure out a little better on what to edit out of videos, maybe it'll be a little more entertaining. But hopefully some people out there at least are enjoying following along, and let's get out there and enjoy this car as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned and be sure to follow along the playlist if you enjoyed this video, which if you watched it this long, I'm guessing you somewhat did. So you might want to subscribe and don't miss an episode. See you guys next time.